Welcome back, everyone, to episode 90 of The Midnight Entrepreneur. 90 episodes, Tyler. I'm starting to think, we're really doing this thing. 90 episodes. Not many podcasts get to 90 episodes, but we're happy you guys are here. You've been with us every single week, hopefully, if we're lucky. It's good to be back for another episode. If you guys, I want to start saying this at the top of the show. If you guys like the show, leave us a rating, leave us a review. It really helps push that to the algorithm. Share it with someone that is maybe interested in business or you think would find value from this. That's all we're asking for. We aren't trying to sell you anything, just trying to help you grow your business. So with that being said, let's get into episode 90. Tyler, what is going on?
Easton, not too much. Just doing the everyday mundane tasks, just trying to get by, trying to manage my time, prioritize everything properly. But other than that, not too much. What's going on with you?
Not a whole lot either. Just kind of plugging along every single day. How do you feel about the whole, mundane task? That's how you phrased it, about going and you're kind of doing the same thing every day. You think you focus on it's consistency, I'm doing good, I'm getting my stuff done every day, or do you think it is a red flag?
No, I think that's the green flag, as long as you're doing the right stuff, because you could probably be doing stuff that's not moving the needle, but I think it's all those small little tasks done over a long period of time is what helps get you to where you want to be going. Because if you aren't doing those small tasks every single day, day in, day out, it's like you don't see the ball moving after a day, after a week, after a month even. It's when you start adding on to the years, then it's like, okay, there it is. Because it's the same thing or very similar with, say, working out and, say, eating healthy. You're not going to be seeing your gains within a day, within a week, within a month of working out. It's doing that consistently over a long period of time is what it is. It's basically, you just got to be consistent with it and not quit. So that's the way I look at it. What do you think?
I would agree. You have to enjoy the mundane, you could say. And not that the tasks are really mundane, but it does feel like it when every single day you're kind of doing the same thing. But yeah, I would 100% agree that the consistency is what gets you to where you want to be. Lately, over the last month or so, I've really felt like a lot of times when you do things, you can't really see the progress, like you said. But over the last month or so, I feel like I'm actually making steps and things are actually happening. So that's kind of exciting to see, rather than looking back and saying, oh, it's been 6 months. We did make some progress, but you can't see it on the day-to-day. So yeah, just grinding on the day-to-day. Can't complain. Getting into some updates here. VidLead, which I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show or not, but it's basically Go High Level, just white labeled as VidLead. And it is the best software I've probably ever used. I've used a lot of softwares. I've went through a lot of them, but just found this new thing this morning. Matt and I are switching from Basecamp project management software over to VidLead or Go High Level, and found some customization tools on there where you can actually add specific areas for projects, where I can add call sheets, I can add schedules, I can add estimates in there, where before I thought it was a little limiting, and then I actually found the way to customize it. And the more I unlock with this software, the more and more I'm like, okay, I'll never get rid of this thing. But yeah, I'm really loving VidLead.
So are you just learning more of the functionality of it and the capabilities, or are they adding more to it? Since I know Parker did it and kind of white labeled it specifically for videos. So which one is it, or is it both?
It is both, but I'm seeing more of me just learning the actual software. They don't add new features terribly often, but they do add them here and there, but it's nothing that, it's not like every week. It's probably, once a quarter there's something new, or once every 4 months. But it's me mainly just clicking buttons and seeing, oh, what does this do? And somehow getting to a place where I figure out what I want to do. So again, it just comes down to those repetitions of actually learning the software. And I was really trying to troubleshoot this one main problem we were having. It's a great alternative for the software we were using, and we're trying to switch to this. And the only hiccup I was having is I can't upload files to these specific projects. Whereas I want to upload the estimate for this client, or I want to upload the call sheet or the schedule for this client. I couldn't figure out how to do it. And I finally figured out how to customize the sidebar where I can make it look whatever I want. So that was pretty exciting this morning. I sent it over to Matt. He was pretty excited about it, so we don't have to use the stupid workaround that we were planning to use. So pretty pumped for that.
Nice. That's always good to get that figured out. And I think this is going a little bit back to like the mundane, but I think one thing that pops up, the update that I have, or one of the updates that I have, is with the wetsuits, or I got a new partnership that I'm going to be getting sent a new wetsuit from a company. And I think that comes back to the mundane, where I'm putting in that work every single day, like with my diet, with my training, with my posting, and just like, I didn't see anything for the first 6 to 8 months of posting and being consistent with everything. And now just recently, like within the last month, I've had 2 companies reach out to me. So it's like, you're not really going to see, I didn't see any, I mean, I got a few followers here and there, but other than that, I didn't really see any of the actual positive side effects or outcomes that come from those inputs. So I think that's just one of the mundane things that, like, it takes time for it to actually come to fruition. Where, I mean, I feel like 6 to 8 months is like, it's not a terribly long time, but I mean, it's a decent amount of time to be consistently putting in the work and not really seeing any outcome. But at the same time, it's like enjoying the process at the same time, because I do enjoy going out and training and trying to stick to a good diet. And at the same time, I do enjoy documenting it, because I think in the future, when I do look back on it, or if anyone wants to look back on it, I think it would be pretty cool to see like where I was, because I know I've just been recently doing that. And it's like, when I first started biking, I remember I watched my first video that I uploaded, and I talked about my month and how it went. And I'm like, yeah, I'm averaging like 18 to 20 miles per hour on the bike. And I feel like for me, that's pretty good. And then like now when I'm looking at it, my low is like 20 miles per hour. So it used to be where my high was. So I'm like, okay, I'm seeing that progress come along. So it's really cool being able to look back and see where I started, where I am, and then like even in the future, where right now where I'm currently at, it's probably going to be another one of that situations where it's like, I'm currently in this range, and then when I look back on it, it's going to be like, oh wow, like it's just continual progress. So it's just cool seeing that mundane stuff starting to take off.
And 6 to 8 months for a lot of people, when they are creating content, is a long time. If you look at it in the grand scheme of things, of our businesses or the content we're creating, we understand, because we've been doing it, that 6 to 8 months, things are going to take that long, maybe even longer. But yeah, the consistency is huge, is impressive, because I think a lot of people start things and they think after a month this is going to be awesome, or after 2 weeks this is going to be great. You use the podcast example, or we use the podcast example, that I think like 90% of podcasts don't get past episode, or 80% of podcasts don't get past episode 3. And then 90% of the podcasts that don't get to episode 20. So it just goes to show you the consistency, that when you put it in, it is going to pay off. It might not be tomorrow, might be 3 years down the road, but if you keep doing it, it is going to be rewarding.
Yeah. I was just listening to a podcast the other day, and it was just talking about, like, you obviously have to have like the destination in mind, because like that puts you on like the journey, because if you don't have the destination there, you don't go on the journey. But at the same time, you really got to enjoy the actual journey of everything, because it might never pay off, and if it does, it might be in 50 years. Like you look at the Colonel. I think he was like 65, 70 years old when KFC like started, or his recipe kind of like took off. So you never really do know how long it will take, and there is no actual guarantee. And I think that's part of the actual joy of it, where you don't know if it's going to actually pay off.
I got very frustrated this week because I saw a Twitter thread talking about Gary Vee and how his advice is garbage. And me growing up, when I was in high school, that's pretty much where I got all my motivation, and how I learned all of these mindsets and these philosophies is from watching Gary Vaynerchuk content. And again, I think every entrepreneur, if you do watch his content, it starts to wear off on you, whereas you kind of learn the concepts and then you don't need to watch it anymore. But I think it's a fantastic place to start. And one of the comments on that thread on X was that he tells you have so much time, and that you're young and you have so much time to do stuff. And the guy was pissed off that he was giving that advice, because he's like, that's not true. Nobody wants to be 40 and not retired, blah, 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 blah. And one of Gary's things is, even if you're 50, you probably still have 20 to 30 years to go out there and build something. In 20 and 30 years, that is a shitload of time. Whereas I didn't comment on this guy's Twitter thread, but I was getting frustrated. I'm like, dude, if you're 30 years old and you expect something, like who are you, like what are you thinking, right? So I was getting a little frustrated at that, but just to circle it back to what you're talking about, it is about the journey. It is going to take a long time, but you have to enjoy that journey. If things start clicking when you're 40, 45, awesome. If it starts clicking earlier, 2-3 years into your journey, then that's even better. But just be consistent and enjoy the whole process.
That's what it's all about. Do you have any other things going on your side?
Yeah, last update I wanted to give. I think last episode I was talking about the rebrand and coming up with a new name. I'm not completely writing that off, but I am putting it on hold or just slowing down the process a little bit. I thought I had a name picked out, talked with some people, got some feedback. One of them is that the name inherently means risk, and you don't want your company really to be associated with risk, if that is pretty much a one-to-one comparison, which I do understand that feedback, and I get it and I agree. And I don't want to rush this process. And the conversation I was having was, we've got so much going on right now, just hiring a brand new editor, we're transitioning, we're getting all these businesses, a lot more clients, whereas this shouldn't be a number one priority. And it's not like it's going to happen overnight anyways. Like a rebrand shouldn't be a week-long thing, whereas I should put some more thought into it. So that's what I'm going to do. Think about some names, really find one that I really love, and then go about that process. But really that conversation just kind of directed me back, which I appreciate, to the goal of, okay, here's what you're trying to build. Like, what are you trying to do? Well, I need to hire Spencer so I can free up time, so then we can hire a production manager, and we can start to have this team. And the rebrand doesn't really fit in there, right? Like, it'd be great to rebrand, but there's nothing wrong with the current brand I have. It's just kind of a personal preference that I want to rebrand it. So it's good having that conversation. Sometimes they're tough conversations to have, but I'm glad I had it.
I think the only thing about that is the longer that you put off rebranding, the bigger brand awareness BCM creates and attracts, and then more people become accustomed to that, and then it becomes even harder to actually rebrand, because now everyone, like, it could be a statewide brand at that point once you do decide to brand it or rebrand it, and then everyone has to all of a sudden forget about BCM, and now it's like, okay, now we're something else. So
I agree.
That's my only thing.
And we talked about the example of Twitter. Once Twitter went to X, nobody really calls it X. We call it for, whatever on the show, but you still hear everybody talk about, I'm going on Twitter, or I'm going to go tweet, right? Like, the transition to X really hasn't taken off the way some might have imagined. And I think that's because of the massive market cap that it had, and everybody knowing and everybody having the brand awareness that it is Twitter. So it's really hard to get the whole world to change their thoughts on that. It'd be like comparing, this is obviously an extreme example, but if they were to rebrand Apple to something else, well, it will always be Apple. My phone will always be an Apple phone, even if they switch it to, Lemon. Pear. Yeah, exactly, whatever it is. So I do agree with you. I think the rebrand will still happen, within about a year's time frame, which I don't think is too terribly long. But, yeah, I just don't want to rush it into, okay, I need to have it done in the next 2 months, right? Because, again, when you rush things, that's when you can put out a worse product. So,
you ever read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight?
I haven't, no.
It's kind of interesting because he was forced into choosing a name when it came down to it. And the name that Phil wanted, so Phil's the creator of Nike, he wanted and no one else wanted. And then Nike was basically the one that everyone else wanted. And it was like a massive order or something was coming in, and they're like, okay, we have to pick a name. Like, what do we want? And it came down to it. And he ultimately ended up going with Nike, but it was kind of like, you have to choose like right now. It's like, it wasn't like, so I don't know. I think it's something similar to, this is like completely different, but it's like, people that set goals of like, I have to get married by this time or I have to have kids by this time, is like that's something that you don't really want to rush, where it's like you can,
Or
for most
plan.
part you can. Yeah, exactly. Like you can have like the vision of it. It's like, okay, but at the same time you don't really want to rush it, just because it's like if you rush that, you just might choose the wrong person. You might
Hmm.
for the wrong reasons. So I think it's a little bit of an extreme example, but I think like having that deadline of like when you want to rebrand, what do you want to choose, and all that stuff, I think it does help like expedite the process and make you actually make a decision and choose it, where it could just keep getting pushed off.
I agree, and I did start to feel myself getting rushed a little bit, like I was rushing it. Where I'd like to go through the actual process, come up with 5 to 10 names that these are all potential names that I might use, right? And then sit on them, get some feedback, from more than the 3 people, 4 people I got it from. See what, really think about the names and can I fall in love with this name? Do I really like this name? Or the more you think about it, do you hate it even more? Instead of picking a name, you like it for a couple days. Well, if I was to choose that name and then I just liked it for a couple days, maybe a week down the road, I don't like it as much. So I think just slowing the process down a little bit, letting it come to me a little bit more will help. But it is still on, I want to still keep it on the top of my mind where I'm not forgetting about it, not letting it get pushed into ether, like you said. So,
At the same time, I do think it is just a name, and I'm assuming Phil Knight didn't like Nike at first, but at the same time, longer it grew, the more traction it gained, the bigger brand presence it gained. He probably did end up liking it eventually because of what it grew into and what everyone associates Nike with, and like the brand positioning that they did have.
yeah, and I agree. It is just a name at the end of the day. If you can have a name that doesn't tie directly to something negative, which the original word I was throwing around was gambit. And if you guys know chess, it is literally making a risky move to try to get an advantage. Where if you tie that to your clients and say, okay, we don't want our clients to think they have to make a risky move to get this advantage. So that is, I overlooked that part of the definition a little bit just to maybe fit my own narrative, which I understand. But yeah, it is just a name, and it comes down to. My buddy has a video production company in Minneapolis that I really like his name. And really, of course, his brand is all about storytelling and making the companies grow. And the title of his production company is just Bloom. I'm like, I kind of like that. A flower blooms, you can have a company bloom. It's got
Yeah.
a cool little logo. So I think knowing that, I don't want to rush it where I really like Bloom, and he probably thought about that for a little bit. Or if I could have a word that signifies that in one word, it would be awesome. So think about that a little bit more, and then going from there. But we'll keep you guys updated on the show as we go through that process.
Yeah.
Tyler,
Become a verb.
become a verb. I like it. Tyler and I were throwing around some made-up words, and I was like, "How do you make up a word?" Uh,
Oogle.
it's harder. Yeah, it's harder than you think. Tyler, any other updates before we get into this week's topic?
No, but if you do have any name ideas, feel free to send it to us, and Easton would be really glad to hear any.
Yeah, that is fantastic. If you do throw me some names, I would love them, and I'll give you. If I end up choosing your name, I'll give you $100. How about that?
There you go. There's some incentive.
Throw some incentive at you people. So, cool. Let's get into this week's topic. We're going to be talking about this one trick that is really going to increase your revenue if you're just starting out, or maybe you're far along in the process. But it is offering complimentary services and products and things that you can sell the clients you already have. And just to preface this a little bit, Tyler, I know when you're starting a business, at least for me, revenue was one of the biggest things, one of my main priorities, where I'm like, okay, I need to have revenue so this business can stay afloat, that I can pay my bills, and that I can at least have some sort of living. Like if I don't have revenue, then this business might as well be non-existent. So this topic hopefully gives you guys a little bit of idea on how you can get more revenue, and whether you're just in the beginning and you want to kind of get the business off the ground, or if you're at a point where you're making good revenue but you really want to inject some growth into that. So Tyler, there's 2 different options you can go with kind of offering these complimentary services or products. Let's maybe start with the product side first. What are your thoughts on offering these services?
I think it's just a really good opportunity to upsell with us. And I mean, I have this later on, but if you have a main product, there are most likely complementary products that you could do that would be able to sell alongside with it. So say for example you sell lawnmowers, then you could have maybe other products that could go along with it. Maybe it's like tires or lawnmower bags, or I don't know what else there would be. There's a subject that I don't really know much about, but I think if you just have a product and you have other products that go along with it, it's just a good option to upsell and potentially have other people or your current customers, because like if they go to the checkout and maybe they end up buying it, you see a lot of times when you do check out at certain websites, they'll put you on a screen and it'll be like, oh, you have 15 minutes to act now and you can also get this, and this is like 10% off, and then click now to buy it now. And then it's just like a really quick and easy upsell. And it's like they weren't going to buy it anyways. Now that they see it and it's like, oh, I have 10 minutes and I can get 10% off and this would pair well with what I just bought, why not just end up getting that as well? So I think that's one thing, like you are starting to see it a lot, especially in this online world where we're buying stuff online, where say at Walmart, if you're actually in the store, it's a little bit harder to have that. So it's tough to actually pair it together. So with the online world, it's a lot easier to pair it.
The best part about this as well is that the person is already in a buying mindset. They're buying a product that they already have in there, or they've already scanned, or they've already added to their cart, or whatever it is, and you are just putting a little seed in their mind to say, oh, also, this would be a great little addition here. One thing I see this a lot on is Vistaprint. Have you ever ordered anything from Vistaprint?
I've ordered quite a few business cards.
Yeah.
There,
sure still have a lot of
them. Still got all thousands of them.
Yep. Everyone always goes, I'm going to order 1,000 business cards and be gone in a couple of months. No, you gave out 32. But yeah, Vistaprint is one that really popped up in my mind when we were talking about this topic. Is if you order business cards, you have to go through like 15 pages of recommended items where it's like, oh, we'll also get you a mouse pad with your logo. Oh, and we'll also get you a laptop sleeve. And we'll get you a mug, and you can get pens. Whereas that's probably the most extreme example that I could think of, but it is upselling, where I have fell victim to the Vistaprint trick, and I've ordered some mouse pads with the B on it back in the day. But those are great opportunities to upsell, and I know you mentioned that earlier, Tyler. Really, all of this revolves around it being an upsell. And that's one company that does it a lot. But I think if you can implement this into your product business, it's going to be super beneficial.
I want to go on a little story here, completely off track, but we were talking about it with the business cards when Gavin, when Gavin and I made our business for Deca, we were trying to be like official and stuff, and then we bought business cards for it, and it was like completely stupid on my part. It was like, you can buy 100 for this price, or you can buy 500 for this price and save this much money. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm doing that. So for our fake business, I ended up buying like an extra 500 of business cards just for that.
Yeah, that's how they get you. Oh, we'll knock it down 10 cents a card if you buy 500 more. It's like, well, why do we need that many? Dude, I don't. Yeah. I always buy the box of it, and I've learned the more I've done it, like I've went, 1,000 business cards. Next time I was like, I don't need that many. I'll get 500. Next time I'm like, okay, 250. I think the last box of business cards I bought was like 100 cards. And they're just sitting in my truck. They sit there, and usually if any time's like, I need a business card, I'm like, I got one in my truck. Let me go get it. And I keep like 2 or 3 in my wallet sometimes, but yeah. Rarely ever do I hand out business cards.
Yeah, the one thing I learned after starting a couple different businesses, and my first piece of action is buying business cards.
Okay.
Buy the business cards last, or not so early in the process. Because I've done it like 3 times, and it's like I don't even like. I think in my car I have a whole box like completely full of them right now. It's like my old New Frame business card, so it's got like my old address and all that stuff on it, so it's like completely useless.
You're not going. Maybe we should do a topic on things like business mistakes.
Things not to do.
Things not to do. That'd be a good episode. I'm writing it down. Things not to do. We've probably got a whole list of those. But yeah, the business cards, you do not need as many as you think you need, I promise. Even when I meet people in public, like when I was in Vegas, that guy that I met at the dental company,
Yeah.
which I should message him, forgot to.
Mm.
He didn't have business cards. I didn't have business cards. He's like, oh, just here's my number.
Yeah.
Like, you know how quick it is to just be like,
Right.
just put my number in your phone. Like, we all have
Yeah.
smartphones. It's just as quick as me. Let me get my wallet. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, business cards, thing of the past. But I guess if you want to hang on to them, feel free.
I did see there's like a new business card that's coming out or it's already out, where I think it's just a barcode or like you just hold your phone up to it and then like
Yeah.
it opens it up, and I'm pretty sure Mike, the guy I used to do weddings with, he has it, and it's like the only issue with it is if they don't have their phone on them, which like 99% of the time they do. But like the one time someone asked him if he had a business card, he's like, yeah, here. And he's like, you got a phone? And they're like, no. And it's like, oh shit. So it's like, it's really cool and convenient, and you only need one, and then you just have to carry that around, and then it like pulls up like a link tree or something, like it's like their own link tree type of thing. It's like website, Instagram, whatever.
If
and
you don't
you're able
have
to
your
just do
phone
that.
on you, I don't want to give you my contact information. So, no, I don't
Fair
have
enough.
a phone. I'm like, okay, well, you don't give my contact information. You're a crazy person. That's what I would have said.
Mhm.
All right, so circling back, we talked about the product business a little bit. That's where you're going to see
Yeah.
the majority of it. I think the service-based businesses, it's not being as used as much as it could be. But I think there's a ton of benefits of using it in a service-based business. It's just you don't see it as often. So one example that I have on here is if you are, let's say, a pressure washing company, and your whole goal is you pressure wash people's driveways or their sidewalks to get all the shit off of it. It is super easy of an upsell to say, hey, I also noticed that the side of your house, like your siding is really dirty. I can throw that on. It's going to cost you an extra $200 or whatever that looks like. Whereas if you can pair those services in your service-based business, the nice part about it is usually you're on location somewhere, unless you have a business like Tyler where it's, remote or you're doing websites or ads or whatever it is. But if you have an in-person service business, like a plumber or a lawnmower or a pressure washing company, it's super easy. You're already there. Just ask them if they want to do it, give them a little bit of a discount or make it sound like it's a discount, and you're automatically making more revenue there. But I think a lot of people are scared to ask for that upsell. Would you agree, Tyler, or no?
Maybe at the start, but I think after you start asking people and like I think it comes back to rejection, and once you start getting rejected more often, it becomes not as bad, because it's like, okay, it's just another no. Like, it didn't hurt them, it didn't hurt me. Like, they don't want it. Like, there's no harm, no foul there. So I think it's just once you start handling rejection better and start having it more often, then it's like, okay, like it's really like nothing really came of it. So it's like, yeah.
And the thing, I know we've talked about this on the podcast before, but a lot of times you would get a job. Let's use the pressure washing example again. Someone's like, hey, I need my driveway pressure washed. And you say, okay, awesome. It's going to cost $500. They say, great. And you just want to give them what they asked for, because you're like, well, that's what they asked for. I don't want to push them to spend more money or whatever that is. But really, you need to switch your mindset. And I have this in the notes, but you need to switch your mindset from I'm taking every single dollar from this person and trying to squeeze them for every penny to, oh, I'm helping them out here too with this extra service, right? Like, they have a dirty house. I'm sure they'd like to have a clean house. If they want a clean driveway, they definitely want a clean house. So maybe it's something they haven't thought about, where, like Tyler said, if they say, no, you're not out anything, they're not out anything. It's not like you're bothering them. But if you phrase it as, hey, I noticed your house is dirty too. Do you want me to pressure wash that too? It's just going to cost an extra $150. Switching your mindset from being like, I need to get more money out of this person. I need to see if I can wash their house, and I'll do their roof, and I'll do their gutters, and I'll do their windows. Switch your mindset to, oh, I can also help this person out here. I'm already here. I might as well help them out.
I believe at the same time they could already be looking for this specific thing, and they just don't realize that you offer it or you can do it, or maybe they just didn't think about asking, and say they did want their sidings cleaned, and it's like, hey, I can do that too. It's like, oh, perfect, that's what I was looking for. Or I know you know this guy. He started a second business. He would cut grass, And then he also has the power washing. So it's like you do the power washing. It's like, I see your grass is, I mean, I can cut the grass if you want. I have another business that does that as well. So it's just like you're already at that person's house. You already have their business. And then it's like you can start cutting their grass now. And it's like you have that introduction at the same time. So it's just trying to have other complementary businesses. And it could be like painting as well, or like exterior painting, deck painting, just different types of services, that manual type of labor that cleans up the house, the aesthetic, the curb appeal of the actual house.
And a lot of times it boils down to the person that you're dealing with probably just doesn't know that you offer that service, like you said, Tyler. I've ran into this multiple times where Bennett Creative Media, it's known as a video production company. People know we do video. But when we have the conversation of, oh, you're creating media for your website, we'll do videos, we're going to say, hey, we can also give you, 50 lifestyle pictures. We're going to add some photos onto this as well. Or, oh yeah, we have a website guy that can help you out with the website. So a lot of times it is just educating the customer or client that we also do this. And in Tyler's example, the guy had 2 businesses, but if you have a business that's just broad enough, instead of, Ethan's pressure washing, he can now have Ethan's outdoor care, and then he can have mowing under that, he can have pressure washing under that, he can have window cleaning under that, tree trimming, whatever that looks like. So there is a benefit to having kind of that broader service where you can educate your customer that, oh yeah, we have a lot of different stuff that we can do. And a lot of times, just going back to the Vistaprint thing, I didn't know that they had mouse pads. They did that, but when it popped up at the end, I'm like, oh shit, I need a mouse pad. This would be good. So then I ordered it. Tyler, do you have any examples from your own personal experience of kind of ways that you used complementary upselling?
Yeah, I somewhat mentioned this earlier with Nuevo and Riley and I. When we first started, like all of our products are pretty much leather, and Riley thought of the idea of doing like leather care. So maybe there's like some cleaning material or something like that where if they buy a watch or not a watch, they buy a wallet or a watch case, they can also get, say, this leather cleaning kit or whatever it might be, where you're able to have this and be able to take care of the product that you're buying, because like it's not cheap, but at the same time, like you could have this other product that could help care for it and promote the longevity of the actual product. So that was one thought that we had. We never ended up going there that route, but it was a thought that we had. And then also say like key tags, because it's something similar. We got into like our main wallet that sold out really well was key tags, and then you could have a key tag with an air tag on it. So it was just trying to come up with other complementary type of products that would be good to match and pair with it. So like maybe they check out and they get the wallet and then they don't see the leather care, but like it brings them to that screen that I was mentioning earlier, and it's like, oh, you can buy this now, you can get 10% off within the next 10 minutes to take care of your wallet or take care of your watch case. And that could just be like an easy upsell, because it's like, I already bought this, I want to make sure I take care of this properly, so I'm gonna buy this. So that was kind of like the main ones that we talked about. And then with New Frame, I haven't done much.
Yeah. I think a good point on the Nuevo one, and this works for a lot of the services, the discount, even if it's a made-up fake discount, really helps sell the person on that upsell. So like if you're pressure washing and you say, oh, I'm already here, so I don't have to charge you extra. I'll just charge you, 150 instead of 300. Those discounts are going to make people want to do it, because they feel like, oh, this offer is only limited to now. Just like Nuevo, if they're ordering, a wallet, they think the leather kit, well, they're only offering it now because I'm already buying something, whereas if I want this in 2 weeks, it's going to be full price. So I think the discount is something really smart to add if you are doing these upsells. It really makes people want to buy it more.
Yeah, discounts are all marketing because it's all fictional prices to have a profit margin. And I could say this product is worth $500, and if you buy it now, I'll give it to you $400, but it's really only costing us $20 to make. So it's just all a perception of value that you're getting. It's like, oh, this is actually $500, but now it's on sale for $400 or $250. It's like 50% off. I'm getting a massive steal on this, but it's actually just all made up marketing BS type of stuff. And then the last thing was with New Frame, really similar to like kind of what you do, but opposite. So I started with the marketing stuff, and then it's kind of like I have the complementary skills of photography and videography, and I did the real estate video shoot, and I kind of did a couple projects there, but it never really amounted to anything. So it's just like another service that I could offer, because like if I'm building a website, say if it's local especially, I'm able to go out, take pictures of them, take pictures of maybe the area, whatever it might be. I've done it a couple times actually with my godfather as well. I made a couple videos for him and his company. So it's just kind of complementary type of products that I could also sell or offer. And I know that's kind of the vision for you, I guess, in the future, where you're kind of doing it the opposite, where you're doing video first and then you're going into the marketing. So, yeah.
How do you feel about, excuse me, how do you feel about the original service that you're offering and then the secondary upsell, the price of that? Do you think that upsell should always be less priced than the original service you're offering? Or like, let's say you have a $100 thing they're buying, but you upsell them to a $2,000 thing. Do you think that's less effective? Because I'm thinking about it like, you know, if you're doing website stuff, let's say it costs you $2,000 to do a website, and then you upsell them and say, oh, we're also do the video, but the video is going to be $5,000. How do you think that affects things?
I believe it's easier to upsell someone that's already bought from you. So that's why you'll see a lot of people, their funnels will start with either free or really cheap. So like say free or $20. And it's like you already have that one-time paying customer. That's the hardest part, is getting that customer. And then if you're able to deliver an exceptional product, they know they can trust you and they know that you're going to deliver the value that they're looking for. So then when you say you have the additional product from say the $20 product, you have the $1,000 program, service, product, whatever it might be, they're more willing to buy that because they already bought the $20 product. They already know what it's like. So they're more willing to buy that. And then maybe there's a third stage to it. It's like, okay, now we're at $10,000. And then depending on where they're at, they might end up doing it because they've already bought twice from you. So it's like, it's a lot easier to buy. It's a lot easier to have a customer that's already bought from you to buy from you again than someone to go straight to that massive one.
And that's a great transition to the next point we have on our notes here. Your original product or service needs to be good. That's first and foremost. Mm-hmm. It needs to be good because no one's going to want to buy your upsold product. Go back to the pressure washing. If you suck at pressure washing the driveway and they notice that, they're also not going to want you to pressure wash their house because you're probably going to suck at that too. So the same goes is that original product that even if it's $20, that needs to be really good. And then it's 1,000 times easier to upsell your secondary product after that.
Yeah. So what do you think about the discounts then? Do you think as long as it's worthwhile, or I don't know, what do you think?
I really like the discounts with the time frame. Like it's, hey, you're checking out, you're ordering this wallet from or you're ordering this wallet from Nuevo right now. We'll give you the leather care kit, but it's only for the next 10 minutes. So you get this, but you have to add it now. If you come back next week, it's going to be full price. We do the same thing for video where if they sign on for a bigger project, so let's say they want one video, and we say, hey, we can also do these 3 extra videos. We can bulk the pre-production together. We can give you a discount on that. But if you want these 3 extra videos later, it's going to be a different price. It's going to cost more. So we do the same thing with video where if they're buying in bulk, they're adding a bunch of stuff, we can group those tasks together and then give them a discount. So I'm a big fan, but only when there is that designated time limit that's like, hey, this offer's over at this point.
Urgency.
Yeah, and you don't have to label it as an offer. Just have the conversation saying, hey, we'll give you this, but you know, it's only if you pair it with this thing. You don't always have to be like, you have 15 minutes or you have 1 hour, but you can pair it so they have to make the decision together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what are some other ways, Tyler, that you should go about these complementary services? I know on here one thing we want to talk about is that just sit down and audit what complementary services pertain to the main product you're selling or service that you're selling. An example we have here, one thing that I always see is when I go to Subway and I get a sub, I'm obviously going to Subway for the sub. And then you get to the very end and they got that nice cookie jar right there at the checkout. And they're always like, hey, do you want to add a cookie? Right? I never do add a cookie because I'm a healthy guy.
Or chips.
Yeah, or chips. I do add those.
Your
Not
body's
that
a
healthy.
temple.
Yeah. But they have those upsells, and it's very related. Now, if I got up there and I'm like, I got a sub, and they're like, hey, do you also want to get a fidget spinner? I'd be like, what the hell is Subway selling a fidget spinner for, right? So make sure those services are complementary. Just like if you're pressure washing, you say, oh, I also do, we also sell bottles of lemonade. It's like, okay, you're there to pressure wash. Why would I want bottles of lemonade out of the back of your truck, right? That doesn't really make sense. So I'd just sit down and audit what are the complementary services that I could offer that are similar or in the same world as what I'm selling.
Yeah, it's also a little bit similar from Subway to say Walmart, where you'll notice at checkouts they have the chocolate bars, they have these cheap little products, and especially stuff that kids like. So when they get to the checkout, maybe your parents have your kid with you, and it's like they see the chocolate bar. It's like, oh, I want the chocolate bar. Can I have that? And so that's why they do put that there right at the checkout, is for those little easy upsells, because no one's really going to say Walmart to shop for chocolate bars. That's like a last
chocolate bar.
Yeah. That's like a last second purchase where you just see it, you're about to check out, and it's like, okay, sure, I'll just add it in, or a bag of chips, or whatever it might be. It's just one of those easy, cheap upsells that someone might not really want, but it's there, and it's only $1, and I'll get it. And
now that
the kid was asking for it.
Now that you say that, it makes sense at the height of those shelves. I've never really thought about it before, but it's at the height where, a 4 or 5-year-old could look and just grab his favorite candy bar, because it's not at chest height of an average American adult. It's it's down over by the knees. So yeah, I didn't think about that.
That's
that
the
makes
purpose
sense.
of them.
Yeah.
Right at the checkout.
And they're cheap. That's what makes it easy. It's like, oh yeah, I'll get a pack of gum for $1.60.
I always think about it. It's like I'm never gonna. I wouldn't say never, but like there's a very high chance that I'm not gonna do it, and I always just see it, and I'm like, maybe this time. Nah.
The one thing I go through at those checkout lines, a lot of times I'll get a drink. If I'm thirsty, I'm like, oh, I'll just grab a drink here. It's $2. So that one does get me quite a bit, but I don't dive into the actual candy and gum area as often. But the drink coolers they have right at the end, I was like, yeah, I could use a drink.
What about on the online aspect of it? Do you ever find yourself, whenever you say haven't checked out and they have those offers, it's like, do you want to buy this? Do you want to add this to your cart? Have you ever done that? Have you ever caught yourself doing that?
I have done it before for sure. So I've caught myself doing it. Do I do it as often? Probably not. One, because a lot of times the things I'm ordering online are more expensive than the upsells they're giving me at like a grocery store or a Walmart if I'm walking through the line. Like a pop might cost me $2. Whereas if I'm ordering like camera gear online, they're like, oh, do you also want this $112 little thing? Okay, probably not. But I'm more willing to buy into those little tiny trinkets and knickknacks if it's, oh, this costs you $4, or oh, this costs you $6. I'm like, hell yeah, $6, that's an awesome deal, right? So that's where I fall more victim to it, but not a ton online unless I'm really in the buying spirits. What about you?
That's fair. I feel like it's happened to me at least once, maybe a couple times. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember and think of like when it's happened. I don't know. Maybe it's just like if you buy maybe it's like add this on and then you'll get this free or something like that. Or I don't know. I'm trying to remember, but like I can't think of anything specific.
I sometimes do it when I order food online for like takeout or something. Where they're like, oh, an extra $3 you can get this.
Classic one.
You can get a small side of wings for an extra $5. I'm like, shit, I'd have some wings. The food game gets me a lot for sure. It just happened. I had people over for the Timberwolves game 7, and we ordered a pizza, and they're like, oh, for an extra however many bucks you can get a thing of breadsticks. I'm like, breadsticks would be good for everybody here. So I fell victim to that. But yeah, food is always one that gets me.
Same here. I love food.
Yeah. Tyler, anything else on upsells and complimentary services?
No, I don't think so. I think this is just like an easy way to generate some more revenue, and just something easy that you can add on. Maybe not easy, but something that you can think about to add on to your services to potentially generate a little bit more revenue.
Yeah. So think about the products or services that you can offer that will make you a little extra dough. Let's dive into this week's business idea. My turn this week, Tyler, and we are talking what I'm going to call Drive Connect. I don't know if this is an actual service, probably more of like an add-on for an Apple or a computer company, but I got one right here, so I'll explain it. For you people watching, you get a little Easter egg. For people listening, it sucks to be you. These little hard drives here that I edit all video on, and maybe you can have, like Apple will sell a computer that's specifically for video creators, but having to carry this cable around and then hanging it off the side of the computer is so annoying to me. Whereas if they could connect something where, I'm thinking on like the back of the laptop, I don't know if you can see this, Tyler, but, or I'll lift my laptop up, but if you could mount it and it would stick here almost like a magnet, and then you would just have that connected to your computer. And then anywhere you're going, you could eject it and then just pop it off, and then you're good to go. So if there was like 3 ports on the outside of this laptop screen, and I could just put it right here, that would be awesome.
Yep.
And then you don't have to have any cables, and it just auto connects to it. Oof, that'd be clutch.
You know what? I do like that idea because I'll show you specifically. I got this extra cord thing that has my mouse and keyboard. Yeah, so that's for my mouse and keyboard, and then it's like I have a stand for my laptop, so it's like elevated, and then this is always just like hanging like loose like that. So it'd be nice if I had something where I could like hang it so it wasn't, because I feel like it's just like constantly like this.
And there's some pressure on it too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I feel like it's gonna end up ruining it over time. So it'd be nice to have something where it's like able to like be rested, and it's not like has that constant pressure on the cable, and then because like I feel like that's gonna wear and tear it. So I do like the idea. I've thought about like making something on the bottom where I can just like rest it so it's like covered, and then like it's able to just like go in there, which would be really nice. So it's like not as much pressure on the cable, but I do like the idea.
I've seen people do creators where they put Velcro, like Velcro strips on the back of their hard drive, and then Velcro on the back of their computer or laptop, which is fine.
I don't like having Velcro on it.
Yeah, exactly. Do I really want Velcro? No,
yeah,
I don't. You can put like a command strip, I guess, but then it's locked on there for good. But something that was like magnetized that I could just clip on there, would stick, and it would have to have that connection feature where I don't want the cable. Let me just pop it on, and then it's connected to my computer. I think we see that within the next 10 years. We gotta, right?
Potentially. The only thing
get rid
is
of cables, dude. These are ridiculous.
They are trying to go that way. Like you look at the headphones, you look at watches, you look at so many different things. Like we are going like the Bluetooth route. The only thing is, how fast is it going to be? Because I know like having the cord and the connection, and that's a whole big factor on how fast it transfers and all that stuff, the transfer speed and everything like that. So it's like you'd have to have it like be really intuitive and really high tech where it's able to transfer really good, and at the same time like not disconnect constantly. So
could you have, I wonder if you could, the technology in this cable that makes it transfer fast, you've got to be able to, and it would be like an Apple specific hard drive. I think they'd sell a ton of them. The same type of technology they have for the transfer in the cable, they would put into the back of the hard drive and into the actual computer, where it is and I'm thinking like when you mount this on there, it is on there good. Maybe there's even like a little safety thing that you have to push over so it can't come off. But there's got to be a way to put technology in the hard drive. Like this is pretty big. You can get stuff way smaller that has a lot of speed. So I think you could definitely get something into this and into the computer. The only problem I see is that the location I'm thinking would be on the back of the actual laptop, whereas that might be an issue because there's not much computing technology in the screen. I think it's more so under the keyboard.
Right.
But I'm sure they could figure out a way. I'm not the designer here, but anyone at Apple, give me a call. I'll run through this idea. I just want my royalties.
You're right. That'd be nice.
So
be rich for the rest of your life.
One of my favorites so far, I think I was thinking about that this week. I'm like, God, this would be awesome if I didn't have to frickin' plug this damn cable in every time.
Yeah. Yeah. I know one of the big issues I had with my previous ones is it always disconnected, and it was just always a struggle carrying it around. Sometimes it would just fall and just like, oh, you're not supposed to or properly eject the disc. And it's like, oh, you bitch.
Yeah.
And it's like you always have that little heart attack, and it's like everything's going to be corrupted and it's not going to work anymore.
Yeah. Never ideal at all. So Apple, get on that. Any other company, don't do it because I only use Apple. I just want Apple to do it. We'll go from there. Tyler, anything
Same.
else?
No.
Sweet. That is episode 90. Thank you guys again for listening or watching. We really appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. Again, like we said at the top of the show, if you could share this with a friend, someone that's interested in business, interested in entrepreneurship, we would really appreciate it. It helps spread the word, helps more of you business owners learn some of the mistakes that we've made along the way, and hopefully we can help you out. And if you guys have any questions or anything you want us to talk about on the show, we'd be glad to talk to you. Email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. Tyler will probably see it before I do, but it might be 6 months down the road before we get to it, but we would love for you guys to reach out to us. Probably better if you reach out like on social media. We'd see it quicker there, but we will get to it eventually. With that being said, that is episode 90. 10 more episodes until 100.
10 more.
It's pretty crazy. Two and a
It's
half
crazy.
months. 2.5 months. We'll get there this fall. That's episode 90. Tyler, kick us out of here. Get us out of here. Whatever you want to say.
Companies that get confused, think their goal is revenue or stock price or something. You have to focus on things that lead to those. Tim Cook.